The alarm screamed through Border Station Zerion 7 like a wounded beast. Commander Kale Vorthak dropped his morning meal and ran to the control center. His boots made loud sounds on the metal floor as he moved through the hallways of the massive space station. "What is happening?" Kale shouted over the noise. His voice was deep and rough from 20 years of military service. The Valthek Empire had placed him here to watch the empty space at the edge of their territory. Nothing ever happened here. Nothing interesting, anyway. Sensor technician Rios Zenthan looked up from his control panel. His young face was pale with worry. "Sir, we have detected something impossible," he said. His hands shook as he pointed at the glowing screen in front of him. Kale walked over and looked at the display. Numbers and symbols moved across the screen in patterns he had never seen before. "Explain this to me," he ordered. "There is a vessel approaching our border," Rios said. "But sir, the readings make no sense. Look at this energy pattern." He pointed to a line that moved up and down on the screen. "This should not be possible with any known technology." Kale studied the data. He had seen thousands of ships pass through this sector. Merchant vessels, military craft, even ancient ships from forgotten worlds. But nothing like this. "How far away is it?" 3 hours at current speed, Rios replied. "But sir, that is another problem. The ship is moving at sublight speed, but somehow it creates energy readings that are impossible. Show me the visual," Kale commanded. The main screen flickered and changed. A dark shape appeared against the stars. It was small compared to Valthek warships, maybe 1/10 the size. The vessel looked strange and simple. Its hull appeared to be made of basic metal, not the advanced materials that every spacefaring race used. "That cannot be right," Kyle muttered. "Run the scan again." Rios worked at his controls. "Sir, I have run the scan 5 times. The results are always the same. That ship should have been destroyed by cosmic radiation long ago. Its hull is too thin, too basic, but somehow it travels through deep space without any protection." Other technicians gathered around them. News of the strange vessel spread quickly through the station. Kale could hear them talking in worried voices. Some said it might be a trap. Others thought their equipment was broken. "What about its drive system?" Kyle asked. "Simple fusion drive," Rios answered. "Very old technology. But sir, the energy output is impossible. No fusion drive should create this much power. And look at this." He pointed to another section of the screen. The ship has no shields. No artificial gravity. No quantum stabilizers. Nothing that every spaceship needs to survive. Kale felt a cold feeling in his stomach. He had fought in 3 wars for the Valthek Empire. He had seen enemy ships that could destroy planets, but this small simple vessel made him more nervous than any weapon he had ever faced. "Are there life signs?" he asked. "Yes, sir. Multiple beings aboard the ship. But the scans cannot identify their species. Their biology is unknown to our databases." "That is impossible," Kyle said. "The Valthek Empire has records of every intelligent species in this part of the galaxy." "Yes, sir. That is what makes this so strange." The ship continued its steady approach. It did not change course or speed. It seemed to ignore the fact that it was heading toward the most powerful military force in the galaxy. Most species would be afraid. They would send messages begging for permission to enter Valthek space. But this ship just kept coming. "Try to contact them," Kale ordered. Rios worked at his communications panel. "No response, sir. They are not answering on any frequency." "Are their communications broken?" "I do not think so. I can detect their equipment working. They just choose not to answer." Kale paced back and forth behind the control stations. This was not how first contact was supposed to work. When new species met the Valthek Empire, there were rules, protocols. The aliens would be afraid and respectful. They would beg for mercy or try to run away. They did not just ignore the most powerful military in the galaxy. "Sir," another technician called out, "I am detecting more strange readings." "What now?" Kale asked. "The ship appears to be repairing itself as it travels, but I cannot detect any repair robots or automated systems. Somehow the beings inside are fixing damage with just basic tools." Kale looked at the screen again. The small vessel looked so harmless, but everything about it was wrong. It should not exist. It should not be able to travel through space, and it definitely should not ignore the Valthek Empire. "Sir, what are your orders?" Rios asked. Kyle thought for a moment. He could destroy the ship easily. One shot from the station's main weapons would turn it into space dust. But something held him back. This vessel and its unknown crew had traveled across impossible distances using technology that should not work. They had survived in the deadly emptiness of space with nothing but basic metal protecting them. There was a mystery here, and Kale wanted answers. "Send a message to Fleet Command," he ordered. "Tell them we have a first contact situation. Unknown species, unknown technology. Request a diplomatic team and military backup." "Yes, sir. And keep scanning that ship. I want to know everything about it before it reaches our border." As the hours passed, the strange vessel continued its approach. It never changed course, never sent a message, never showed any fear of the mighty Valthek Empire. The beings aboard seemed to believe they belonged among the stars, even though they had no right to survive in the emptiness of space. Kale watched the ship grow larger on his screens. Soon he would meet these impossible travelers face to face. He had no idea that this moment would change everything the Valthek Empire thought they knew about the galaxy. Admiral Thex Gromnir stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching 200 Valthek warships move into position. Each vessel was the size of a small city, armed with weapons that could crack planets. The fleet formed a perfect battle formation around the approaching unknown ship. "Still no response to our messages?" the Admiral asked. "None, sir," replied Communications Officer Vel Thorak. "They continued to ignore all attempts at contact." Ambassador Lynn Quester stepped forward. She was the Empire's best diplomat, trained to handle first contact with new species. "Admiral, perhaps they do not understand our language protocols. Then why do they keep coming?" Gromnir asked. "Every intelligent species in the galaxy knows to stop when they see a Valtech war fleet." On the main screen, the small vessel continued its steady approach. It looked even stranger now that they could see it clearly. The hull was covered with patches and repairs. Some sections were different colors, as if the crew had replaced damaged parts with whatever they could find. "Look at that ship," Gromnir muttered. "It appears ready to fall apart. How did it travel through space without proper armor?" Suddenly, the unknown vessel sent out a signal. Every screen on every ship displayed the same message. It was written in simple mathematical symbols that any spacefaring race would understand. "Greetings. We come in peace. We request permission to dock and meet with your representatives." Ambassador Quester smiled. "Finally. They do know proper protocols." But Admiral Gromnir frowned. "That message is too simple, too basic. Host species send detailed information about their government, their technology, their intentions. This tells us nothing." The alien ship slowed down and stopped just outside the Valthek formation. Up close, it looked even more impossible. The hull was made of simple steel, welded together with basic techniques. There were no energy shields protecting it, no advanced sensors scanning the Valthek fleet, just a metal box floating in space. "How are they even alive in there?" asked Science Officer Chin Vex. "Our scans show no artificial gravity, no atmosphere recycling systems, no radiation protection." "Maybe our scans are wrong," Quester suggested. "Run them again," Gromnir ordered. The results were the same. The ship contained living beings, but it had none of the systems needed to keep them alive in space. It was as if the crew had built their vessel in a backyard and somehow flown it across the galaxy. "Admiral," the communications officer announced, "they are requesting permission to dock with our ship." Gromnir looked at Ambassador Quester. "What do you think?" "We follow standard first contact protocols," she replied. "We invite a small delegation aboard. Full security measures, of course." "Very well. Tell them they may dock." An hour later, a small section of the alien ship opened. What emerged was not another vessel, but beings in simple white suits. They floated through space using basic rocket packs, moving toward the Valthek flagship. "No shuttle," observed Science Officer Vex. "They are flying through the vacuum of space with just personal equipment." "That is extremely dangerous," Quester said. "If their suits fail, they will die instantly." But the aliens moved confidently through space as if they had done this many times before. Their suits were clearly handmade, patched and repaired like their ship. Yet they worked perfectly. The airlock cycled and the first alien stepped into the Valthek ship. He removed his helmet to reveal a face that was startling in its ordinariness. 2 eyes, a nose, a mouth. He looked almost exactly like the pictures of primitive species in Valthek history books. "I am Captain Hyunwoo," the being said in perfect Valthek language. "Thank you for allowing us aboard your vessel." Ambassador Quester stepped forward. "Welcome. I am Ambassador Lynn Quester. How do you speak our language?" "We listened to your radio signals for many months as we approached," Hyunwoo replied with a smile. Your language is not too difficult to learn. Gromnir stared at the alien. Learning Valthek language from radio signals should have been impossible. The language was complex, with multiple tonal layers and mathematical concepts built into the grammar. 2 more aliens entered the airlock. One was a female who introduced herself as Dr. So-Young. The other was a male called Engineer Taemin. Like their captain, they looked surprisingly ordinary. They could have been any primitive species from any backwater planet. "Where do you come from?" Quester asked. "A planet called Earth," Hyunwoo answered. "Very far from here. We have been traveling for a long time." "How long?" Gromnir asked. "This ship has been in space for 47 years, Dr. So-Young replied. Everyone on the bridge fell silent. 47 years in that tiny ship? It was impossible. No crew could survive that long in such a small space with such basic equipment. "That cannot be correct," Science Officer Vex said. "Your ship is too small for a crew to survive such a journey." Engineer Taemin laughed. "Small? This ship is huge compared to our first vessels. We have learned to make do with what we have." "But how do you survive without proper life support?" Vex asked. "We built our own," Taemin replied simply. "When something breaks, we fix it. When we need something new, we make it." Admiral Gromnir studied these strange beings. They spoke as if traveling through deadly space in a metal box was normal, as if fixing broken equipment with scraps was just part of daily life. "Why did you come to our territory?" he asked. "We explore," Captain Hyunwoo said. "We go to new places, meet new people. We hope to learn and to teach. Are there more ships like yours?" "Oh yes," Dr. So-Young smiled. "Thousands of them. Humans spread across the galaxy in every direction." "Humans?" Quester asked. "That is what we call ourselves," Hyunwoo explained. Suddenly, alarms began ringing throughout the ship. Science Officer Vex looked at his instruments with alarm. "Admiral, there is a power failure in Engineering Section 7, he reported. "How serious?" Gromnir asked. "Critical. The main fusion containment is failing. We need to evacuate that section immediately." Engineer Taemin stepped forward. "May I look at the problem?" "You?" Vex laughed. "This is advanced Valthek technology. Your people cannot possibly understand it." "Maybe not," Taemin said with a shrug. "But broken things are broken things. The principles are usually the same." Admiral Gromnir made a quick decision. "Show him the problem. What do we have to lose?" 20 minutes later, Engineer Taemin emerged from the damaged section. His simple tools were covered with strange substances and he was smiling. "Fixed," he announced. Science Officer Vex ran to his instruments. The readings showed that the fusion containment was working perfectly. Better than it had worked in months. "How?" Vex asked in amazement. "The magnetic coils were not aligned properly," Taemin explained. "I adjusted them and added some extra shielding from materials I found in your storage room." Gromnir stared at the human engineer. This primitive being had just fixed a problem that Valthek experts had been struggling with for weeks. He had done it with basic tools and spare parts. "This changes everything," Ambassador Quester whispered. Admiral Gromnir nodded slowly. These humans were not what they appeared to be. They looked primitive, but they possessed something the mighty Valthek Empire had forgotten. They knew how to survive when everything went wrong. They knew how to fix things when they broke. And they did it all with a smile, as if impossible challenges were just part of life. The real question was, what else could they do? Dr. Kel Morfun could not believe what his medical scanners were showing him. He ran the tests 3 more times, but the results stayed the same. The human called Dr. So-Young sat patiently on the examination table, smiling as if nothing strange was happening. "This is impossible," Morfun muttered, looking at his instruments. "Your body should not be able to function." "What do you mean?" So-Young asked. "Your bones are too dense. Your muscles contain twice the normal amount of oxygen-carrying cells. Your skin can resist radiation levels that would kill most species. And your brain..." He paused, shaking his head. "Your brain uses connections that our computers cannot map." So-Young laughed softly. "We come from a difficult planet. Earth is not an easy place to live. We had to become strong or die. But this level of adaptation is extraordinary," Morfun said. "How long did this evolution take?" "Millions of years," So-Young replied. "But we also had to adapt quickly to space travel. The first human crews died in large numbers. Only the strongest survived to have children." In another room, Captain Hyunwoo was talking with Admiral Gromnir and Ambassador Quester. He had requested a meeting to share information about his people. We call ourselves explorers, Hyunwoo explained. But we are also refugees in a way. Refugees from what? Questor asked. From staying in one place too long, Hyunwoo said with a smile. Humans get restless. We always want to see what is beyond the next star. But why travel in such dangerous ships? Gromnir asked. Surely your people could build better vessels. We build what we can with what we have, Hyunwoo replied. Our planet does not have the rare metals that your ships use. We learned to make things work with common materials. How many humans are traveling through space? Questor asked. No one knows for sure, Hyunwoo said. Maybe 1 million ships, maybe more. We do not have a central government that counts such things. Gromnir leaned forward. No central government? How do you coordinate your exploration? We do not coordinate, Hyunwoo laughed. Each ship goes where it wants. We share information when we meet other human ships, but everyone makes their own decisions. That sounds like chaos, Questor said. Sometimes it is, Hyunwoo agreed, but it also means we explore everywhere. No central authority can order us to avoid dangerous areas or stay away from interesting discoveries. Meanwhile, in the ship's laboratory, Dr. So-young was working with Valtech scientists on a mathematical problem. The Valtech had been trying to solve it for 300 years. The problem is that you are thinking too much like machines, So-young explained. You want perfect mathematical solutions, but sometimes the universe does not work that way. She picked up a stylus and began drawing simple diagrams. What if the answer is not perfect? What if it is just good enough? Scientist Rix Morvain studied her work. This approach is very crude. It ignores many important factors, yes, So-young agreed. But does it work? They fed her solution into the ship's computers. Within minutes, they had an answer that came closer to solving the problem than 3 centuries of perfect mathematics. How did you know to try this? Morvain asked. Human children learn this kind of thinking in school, So-young replied. We call it practical problem solving. When you cannot find the perfect answer, you find an answer that works. In the ship's medical bay, Medical Officer Ji-won was helping treat injured Valtech crew members. The ship's doctor watched in amazement as the human used simple techniques to help patients who had not responded to advanced treatments. Where did you learn these methods? The Valtech doctor asked. On my ship, Ji-won replied. When you travel for 47 years, people get hurt in ways that medical books do not cover. You learn to help them with whatever you have available. She showed the Valtech doctor how to use basic materials to create medical devices. Sometimes the simplest solution is the best solution, she explained. Security Chief Dong-hyun was in the ship's gymnasium, sparring with Valtech warriors. The aliens were bigger and stronger than humans, but they could not defeat him. How do you fight so well? Asked warrior Kex Bruton after Dong-hyun had defeated him for the 3rd time. You fight like your machines work, Dong-hyun explained. Everything is precise and perfect. But fighting is not perfect. It is messy and unexpected. We train with the best combat programs in the galaxy, Bruton said. Programs are made by people who have never been in real fights, Dong-hyun replied. I learned to fight by fighting. Every day for 20 years on my ship. 20 years? How old are you? 38, Dong-hyun answered. Bruton stared at him. This human had been fighting since he was 18 years old. No wonder he was so skilled. Back in the meeting room, Captain Hyunwoo was answering more questions about his people. How do you make decisions without a government? Admiral Gromnir asked. We talk to each other, Hyunwoo said. When human ships meet, we share stories and information. If something is important, the news spreads to all the ships eventually. But what if you disagree about something important? Then different groups do different things, Hyunwoo replied. Some ships might go one way, others might go another way. Usually one group finds the right answer and tells everyone else. That seems very inefficient, Questor observed. Maybe, Hyunwoo agreed. But it also means we never put all our efforts in one direction. If one approach fails, others are already trying different solutions. Ambassador Questor was beginning to understand something important. These humans had survived by being adaptable, not by being perfect. They did not have the best technology or the strongest government, but they had something more valuable. They knew how to keep going when everything went wrong. Captain, she said, what would happen if we destroyed your ship? Hyunwoo looked surprised by the question. Why would you do that? Suppose we decided your people were dangerous. Could we stop human expansion by destroying your ships? Hyunwoo thought for a moment. You could destroy many ships, he said finally. But you could not stop us. There are too many humans in too many places. And every time you destroyed a ship, other humans would learn from what happened. They would find ways to avoid your weapons or hide from your sensors. So you would keep coming. We would keep exploring, Hyunwoo corrected. It is what humans do. We do not stop. Admiral Gromnir felt a chill run down his spine. The Valthek Empire controlled millions of star systems through superior technology and overwhelming force. But how do you stop a species that refuses to stay stopped? Dr. So Young rejoined the meeting carrying a datapad full of scientific information. Your people are very interesting, she told the Valthek. You have technologies we never imagined. But you seem to have forgotten how to fix things when they break. We have maintenance crews, Gromnir replied. Yes, but they only know how to replace broken parts with identical parts, So Young explained. What happens when you cannot get replacement parts? That does not happen, Quester said. Our manufacturing systems can produce anything we need. What if your manufacturing systems break? The Valthek looked at each other. They had never considered this possibility. Their technology was so advanced, so reliable, that they had never learned to live without it. Humans learn to live without things, So Young continued. When our equipment breaks, we fix it or build something else that works. We never depend completely on any one system. Captain Hyunwoo stood up. We should return to our ship soon. But we wanted to thank you for your hospitality. Wait, Admiral Gromnir said. We have more questions. And we have answers, Hyunwoo replied. But first you must decide what you want to do about us. We will not wait here forever. What do you mean? We mean that humans do not stay in one place, Dr. So Young explained. We are explorers. If you want to learn from us, you must be willing to explore with us. The Valthek delegation watched as the humans prepared to leave. These strange beings had shown them things they had never imagined. They had solved problems with simple tools and basic materials. They had demonstrated ways of thinking that challenged everything the Valthek believed about technology and civilization. But most importantly, they had shown that sometimes the most primitive approach was also the most powerful. Sometimes the species that looked weakest was actually the strongest. Admiral Gromnir made a decision that would change the Valthek Empire forever. Wait, he called out. We want to learn more. General Vorkraxis was not impressed by the humans. He stood in the war room of his command ship, studying reports about these strange aliens. His military mind saw only weaknesses in their primitive technology and simple methods. They are nothing special, he told Admiral Gromnir. Small beings with basic equipment. Any one of our warships could destroy their entire fleet. That may be true, Gromnir replied, but I want to test them properly. Design some exercises to see what they can really do. You want me to waste time testing primitives? I want you to understand what we are dealing with, Gromnir said firmly. These humans have traveled across the galaxy with technology that should not work. There must be a reason, General Kraxis sighed. Very well. But when they fail every test, do not blame me for stating the obvious. The first test was simple. The humans were given a broken Valthek fighter ship and asked to make it work. The ship had multiple system failures and missing parts. Most species would need weeks to repair it, even with proper equipment. Combat specialist Inho looked at the damaged fighter with interest. This is a beautiful machine, he told the Valthek engineers watching him. Much more advanced than anything we have. It is also completely broken, Engineer Vexquar pointed out. The main engine is destroyed, the navigation system is missing, and the weapons are offline. But the basic structure is sound, Inho replied. And you have given us tools and materials to work with. Standard repair protocols would require 6 weeks, Quar said. You have 6 hours, Inho smiled. Then we better get started, he called his teammates over. Engineer Taemin began examining the engine while communications expert Daun studied the navigation system. They worked quickly, talking to each other in their own language. They are just taking things apart randomly, Quar complained to General Kraxis. They have no systematic approach, but the humans were not working randomly. They were adapting. When they found that the main engine could not be repaired, they built a new one using parts from 3 different systems. When the navigation computer was missing, Daeun created a replacement using basic radio equipment and mathematical calculations. This is impossible, Quar muttered as he watched Taemin weld engine parts together with simple tools. Those components were not designed to work together. No, Inho agreed. But they do work together. We just had to make some adjustments. 4 hours later, the broken fighter ship lifted off the ground. It flew awkwardly, making strange noises, but it flew. The humans had not just repaired it, they had rebuilt it into something entirely new. How? General Craxus demanded. We do not fix things the way they were, Taemin explained. We fix them to work with what we have available. The second test was more complex. The humans were placed in command of a squadron of Valtech ships and asked to complete a military exercise. They had to capture a defended space station using vessels they had never seen before. Captain Hyunwoo studied the tactical display. The Valtech ships were powerful but designed for direct assault. The space station had heavy shields and strong weapons. A normal attack would succeed, but with heavy losses. What is the standard approach? He asked the Valtech tactical officer. Overwhelming firepower, the officer replied. We attack from multiple directions simultaneously. How many ships do you usually lose? Perhaps 20%, the officer said. That is acceptable. Hyunwoo looked at his human crew. 20% is not acceptable to us. Instead of a direct attack, the humans did something unexpected. They shut down their ship's engines and drifted toward the station like space debris. The defending forces did not recognize the threat until it was too late. They are using their ships like missiles, observed the Valtech monitor. But those ships have crews aboard. Yes, Captain Hyunwoo replied calmly. We trust our equipment and our people. At the last moment, the human-controlled ships restarted their engines and scattered in different directions. They moved in patterns that confused the station's automated defenses. Within minutes, they had captured the target without losing a single vessel. Explain this strategy, General Craxus demanded. Simple, replied Pilot Minna. Your enemies expect you to fight like machines. Predictable patterns, logical approaches. We fight like humans. What does that mean? We fight like people who are too stubborn to die, Inho explained with a grin. The third test was the most challenging. The humans were given command of an entire battle fleet and asked to defend against a simulated invasion. The enemy force was twice their size and had superior technology. Communications expert Da Yun set up a command center that looked nothing like Valtech military operations. Instead of sophisticated computers, she used simple radio equipment. Instead of complex battle plans, she created basic signals that any ship could understand. This communication system is primitive, complained Valtech Communications Officer Torvex. Yes, Da-Yun agreed, but it is also impossible to jam or hack. Your enemies can destroy our advanced systems, but they cannot stop simple radio waves. When the battle began, the human tactics confused everyone. They divided their fleet into small groups that operated independently. Each group made its own decisions based on the situation it faced. They have no central command, General Craxus observed. This should be chaos, but it was not chaos. The small human-led groups worked together like parts of a living creature. When one group was in trouble, others came to help without being ordered. When an opportunity appeared, the nearest ships took advantage of it immediately. How do they coordinate without constant communication? Asked the Valtech tactical officer. We think alike, Captain Hyunwoo explained. All humans learn the same basic principles. We do not need detailed orders to know what to do. The simulated battle lasted 12 hours. When it ended, the human-led fleet had not only defeated the larger enemy force, they had captured most of the enemy ships intact. Impossible, General Craxus muttered. You keep saying that word, Dr. So Young observed. But you seem to think that impossible things cannot happen. Humans know that impossible things happen every day. After the tests were complete, General Craxus met with his staff to discuss the results. Every officer was shaken by what they had witnessed, though humans did not follow any recognized tactical doctrine, reported his chief strategist. They used equipment in ways it was never designed for, added his technical officer. They took risks that should have gotten them all killed, said his combat specialist. General Craxus nodded slowly, and yet they succeeded in every test. They not only completed the objectives, they exceeded them. How is that possible, sir? Craxus thought about this question for a long time. Finally, he understood. They succeed because they do not know they should fail. We design our tests based on what is possible with known technology and accepted tactics. But humans ignore what should be possible. They simply do what needs to be done. Are they dangerous, sir? Extremely dangerous, Craxus replied. But not in the way we usually think about danger. They are dangerous because they change the rules. Every assumption we make about warfare, about technology, about what is possible, they prove us wrong. He paused, looking at the reports from the day's exercises. But they are also valuable. If we could learn to think like they do, the Valthek Empire would become much stronger. Do you recommend an alliance, sir? General Kraxus smiled for the first time in years. I recommend that we try to keep up with them. These humans are going places, and I think we should go with them. In the human ship, Captain Hyunwoo was talking with his crew about their experiences. What do you think of the Valthek? He asked. Smart people, Taemin replied. Good technology. But they think too much and do too little. They could learn, Daon suggested, if they wanted to. The question is whether they want to change, Dr. So-young said. Change is hard for people who have been successful for a long time. Captain Hyunwoo nodded. Well, we have shown them what humans can do. Now they must decide what they want to do about it. Outside, the stars waited patiently for whatever would happen next. Emperor Valdris Kreth sat alone in his private chamber, reading reports that would change the future of the Valthek Empire. The golden walls around him had witnessed the decisions of 50 emperors before him, but none had faced a choice like this. A soft chime announced the arrival of his council. Admiral Gromnir entered first, followed by General Kraxus, Ambassador Quester, and Chief Scientist Morphon. Their faces showed a mixture of excitement and worry. Tell me about these humans, the Emperor commanded. Admiral Gromnir stepped forward. Your Majesty, they are unlike any species we have encountered. Their technology is primitive, but their capabilities are extraordinary. Explain. They can survive in conditions that would kill our people. They can repair equipment that our engineers consider beyond salvation. They can solve problems that our computers cannot handle. Emperor Kreth studied the visual records of the human ship. It looked like something built in a scrapyard, yet it had traveled farther than most Valthek vessels. What do they want from us? He asked. Nothing, Your Majesty, Ambassador Quester replied. They do not seek tribute, territory, or technology. They simply want to explore and learn. That makes them more dangerous, not less, warned Defense Minister Cole Vaxon, who had just arrived. A species that wants nothing can take everything. General Kraxus shook his head. I tested them extensively. They are not conquerors. They are survivors. What is the difference? Conquerors take what they want by force, Kraxus explained. Survivors take what they need to live. Humans need to explore. They need to learn. They need to grow. If we try to stop them, they will find ways around us. Emperor Kreth leaned back in his throne. How many humans are there? Unknown, Your Majesty, Gromnir replied. They estimate millions of ships, but they have no central authority that counts their population. No central authority, the Emperor mused. How do they make decisions? They do not make decisions as we understand them, Quester explained. Each group of humans chooses its own path. Information spreads between groups, but no one commands them all. That should make them weak and disorganized. It should, Kraxus agreed, but instead it makes them unpredictable and adaptable. You cannot defeat them by destroying their capital or capturing their leaders, because they have neither. In the human ship, historian Seon Ho was preparing for what might be his most important presentation. The Valthek had asked him to explain human history so they could better understand his people. Captain Hyunwoo helped him set up the simple projection equipment. Remember, the captain said, tell them the truth. All of it. Even the difficult parts? Especially the difficult parts, Hyunwoo replied. They need to understand what humans are really like. An hour later, Seon Ho stood before a gathering of Valthek leaders and scientists. His presentation began with images of Earth, a blue and green world that looked peaceful and beautiful. Our planet was not always kind to us, he began. Ice ages froze most of the land. Volcanoes destroyed entire regions. Diseases killed millions of people, but humans survived. He showed them pictures of human history. Wars that lasted for decades. Cities destroyed by earthquakes and floods. Famines that starved entire populations. We learned that the universe does not care if we live or die, Seon Ho continued. If we wanted to survive, we had to help ourselves. But you also learned to help each other, observed Dr. Morphon. Yes, Seon Ho agreed. Humans alone die quickly. Humans together can survive almost anything. He told them about the first space missions, tiny metal capsules that barely made it off the ground. Many failed. Some killed their crews, but humans kept trying. Your early space technology was incredibly dangerous, noted engineer Vex Quar. Everything humans do is dangerous, Sion Ho replied with a smile. We learned to live with danger because we had no choice. The presentation continued with stories of human expansion across their solar system. Generation ships that traveled for centuries. Colonies that failed and were rebuilt. People who spent their entire lives in metal boxes traveling between stars they would never see. Why did they do it? Asked Ambassador Quester. Why leave a comfortable planet to suffer in space? Because humans cannot stand to stay in one place, Sion Ho explained. We always wonder what is beyond the next hill, the next ocean, the next star. Some call it curiosity, others call it madness. Emperor Kreth listened carefully to every word. This human was describing a species that could not be controlled because they controlled themselves. They could not be conquered because they never surrendered. They could not be stopped because they did not know how to stop. Meanwhile, diplomat Yu Jin was meeting with Valtech trade representatives. She was discussing possibilities for cooperation between their species. What can humans offer the Valtech Empire? Asked Trade Minister Dex Rohan. New ways of thinking, Yu Jin replied. Your people are very good at building perfect systems. Humans are good at making broken systems work. Can you give an example? Your ships are masterpieces of engineering, Yu Jin explained. But when they break, you need special parts and trained technicians. Human ships are built from simple parts that can be replaced or repaired anywhere. That sounds less efficient. In perfect conditions, yes, Yu Jin agreed. But conditions are rarely perfect. Human methods work when everything goes wrong. Trade Minister Rohan considered this. What would humans want in exchange? Knowledge, Yu Jin said immediately. Your people know things about physics and engineering that we have never imagined. We would love to learn from you. And then you would improve our technology with your methods? We would try, Yu Jin replied honestly. Humans always try to make things better. Back in the throne room, Emperor Kreth was making the most important decision of his reign. His advisors had given him 3 options. The first option was to destroy the human ship and warn other humans to stay away from Valtech territory. Defense Minister Vaxon supported this approach. The second option was to allow humans to pass through Valtech space, but maintain strict controls on their activities. This was Ambassador Quester's recommendation. The third option was to invite humans to become partners in Valtech exploration and development. Admiral Gromnir and General Kraxus favored this approach. What do you think they would do if we chose the first option? The Emperor asked. They would avoid our territory, Vaxon replied. Problem solved. No, General Kraxus disagreed. They would study us. They would learn our weaknesses. Eventually, they would find ways to go where they wanted to go regardless of our wishes. And if we chose the second option, they would cooperate, Quester said. But they would also continue to explore in their own way. We would have little influence over their activities. And the third option? We would learn from each other, Gromnir explained. Their methods could improve our technology. Our knowledge could help them explore more safely. Emperor Kreth stood and walked to the great window that looked out at the stars. Somewhere among those points of light, millions of humans were traveling in simple ships going wherever they pleased. They had crossed the galaxy without asking permission from anyone. How long before human ships reach the heart of our empire? He asked. They are probably already there, Kraxus replied quietly. We have been watching this one ship, but there are surely others we have not detected. The Emperor smiled. Then the choice is already made. We cannot stop them, so we should join them. He turned to face his council. Send a message to the human ship. Tell them the Valtech Empire wishes to learn from their people. What specific terms should we offer? Quester asked. No terms, the Emperor replied. We will offer friendship and see what develops. Humans do not seem to think in terms of formal agreements. An hour later, Captain Hyunwoo received the Emperor's message. He read it twice, then smiled and called his crew together. The Valtech want to be friends, he announced. That is good, Dr. So-young replied. They seem like nice people. A little too serious, but nice. What do they want from us? Asked Engineer Taemin. They want to learn how to fix things when they break, Hyunwoo said. We can teach them that, Taemin agreed. It is not difficult. You just have to be willing to try new approaches. And they can teach us about their advanced technology. Dr. So-young added. We could build much better ships with their knowledge. Captain Hyun-woo looked at his crew, these ordinary people who had done extraordinary things. "Are we ready to continue our journey?" "Always," they replied together. But now they would not travel alone. Valthek ships would accompany them, and Valthek crews would learn what it meant to explore the galaxy with determination instead of just technology. The human ship slowly moved away from the Valthek fleet, heading toward the next star system, but this time, it was followed by dozens of alien vessels whose crews wanted to learn the secret of human persistence. Behind them, Emperor Kreth watched from his flagship as the mixed fleet disappeared into hyperspace. He had made a choice that would change his empire forever. Instead of trying to control the unstoppable humans, he had decided to join them. It was, he thought, probably the smartest decision any Valthek emperor had ever made. In the vast darkness of space, the human ship continued its eternal journey. Its crew knew that somewhere ahead lay new worlds, new challenges, and new friends.